So I'll call the regular council meeting of Thursday, April 1st, 2021 to order. And we want to thank Julie for stepping in tonight and taking Daniel's place while she's out of town. Thank you very much. Julie, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Knappel.
Present.
Councilman Babcock.
Here.
Councilman Evil.
Here.
Councilman Peters. Councilman Petty.
Here.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Here.
City Attorney Moore.
Here.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes that were sent to you? Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All right. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion minutes are approved. All right, we have bills over 2,000, and Mr. Moore, you want to add yours to this also?
If I could, yes.
Okay.
Motion to add Mr. Moore's bill to this as well.
All righty. We have a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Yes, sir.
I've got two motions I'd like to make. One motion is limit discussion on each agenda item, 2 minutes per councilman per agenda item. Second motion is like to take new business agenda item number 4 and move it to the top after
Okay,
the first thing that we
let's
did.
take one at a time then. Motion to limit discussion to 2 minutes per.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Let's just talk like adults and not limit our discussion. We get in trouble doing that, and rushing stuff that we shouldn't rush, and we can move forward if we need to. Motion and discussion, my opinion.
So, and just a reminder, each person does have a chance, in Robert's rules, to speak twice. So, any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor of limiting discussion to 2 minutes per person per item, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, that carries. Thank you. All right, consideration of bills. Oh, I'm sorry, the second motion you have.
Second motion is to move agenda item number 4 and new business to the front, so we hear about it right now.
Number 4. Oh, well, all right.
I'll second that.
Second that motion. Any discussion on that? To move agenda item 4 to the front of new business. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll move that up there. Okay, thank you. All right, the bills.
I
Yes, sir.
think you misunderstood that.
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to discuss that now, before we get into anything else.
Oh, for old business and everything.
Yeah, because if we wait till then, it's going to defeat the purposes of.
Yeah, they don't want
Point of
to.
inquiry.
Just a second. Councilman Reese, did you have something?
Yeah, they wouldn't know what item number 4 is.
Oh, okay. That is, has to do with the supervisor's times at the meeting, as we're talking about. So I'm sorry, Councilman Babcock, you want to vote on that right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Move it up, okay. So the vote was to move it up to right now. Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Point.
Yes, sir.
Still got point. Can we do that since it's officially unfinished business? It has to stay in that spot, does it not? Can we
You
can
can
adjust
amend
that?
the
however-
agenda, yeah, to move it wherever you want.
Okay.
I don't do that.
So was there any other
Because it's
motion I missed there?
unfinished
Okay.
It's not.
Say this is what you-
This is the first time it's been
So
brought up.
Councilman,
It's new business, it's not
Okay.
finished.
I thought you were talking about unfinished. I apologize.
okay,
I don't
Councilman,
care.
do I hear a motion regarding item number 4 that we've moved up supervisor's time at meetings? Do I have a motion regarding that?
What I'd like to make the motion is that when the supervisor's done giving their reports, that they're not required to stay here for the entire meeting. Once the report is done, that they're able to leave after they're done, and there's no reason for them to be mandatory to stay here for the whole meeting.
So the motion is to allow supervisors to leave after they've given their supervisor report, is that correct? Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Second, is there any discussion?
Yes, the only thing is, that, sometimes they would need to be here for a discussion on something else, so they would kind of have to know whether they're going to be involved in a later discussion in the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. It would
Councilman?
work most of the
It would
time.
be unless it was
Yeah,
an agenda item involving their department. How
yeah,
about that?
exactly, yeah.
Councilman Petty, did you have something to say?
Same thing he said.
Okay. So do you want to amend that?
Amend my motion to that all supervisors, when they're done giving their reports, can leave the meeting unless they have an additional agenda item that needs further discussion further on in the meeting.
Okay, so the amendment is to, unless they have further items, let's vote on that one first.
That they would be involved in.
Okay, so do we have a second to that amendment?
I'll second.
Okay, so the amendment is that they would stay if they had other items they were involved with
On the agenda,
on the
yes.
agenda. All in favor of that?
Discussion.
Oh, go ahead, I have discussion.
How do we determine if they're involved in that or not? Who decides that?
I would
If
assume.
they have another agenda item, is what, will that
Well,
suffice?
let's just say, for example, you have an item that you're bringing up, and Ricky doesn't know that he's involved in that you're bringing that up. That's what I'm saying. Who decides?
They do get the agenda ahead of time, the supervisors do.
Okay, do we need to mark I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Do we need to mark, like, if we have something that requires supervisor, do we want to go ahead and just like, as a council or the mayor, alert that supervisor, like, hey, I am going to need you to stay for this? Would that be an appropriate way to do that?
Councilman?
I agree, but I think if we're putting something on the agenda that involves one of the supervisors, they're going to be aware of it because we're putting it on there on their behalf. So I think that would be the way they would know that it was on there.
Okay.
Not necessarily putting it on their behalf. It would be,
Yes, because a lot of times we ask them certain questions about their department that has to do with that particular agenda item.
Okay.
it might be on behalf of a citizen, it might be on behalf on something else. It might not be directly on their behalf. So I'm just saying, if we're gonna go by this, we need to be alerting supervisors, hey, we might be asking you questions, that's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
I agree.
Okay. If we're doing that, I have no issues with this.
So the motion is to, we're still in the motion to allow them to stay if they have if they're involved in other agenda items. So is there any further discussion on that? Okay,
Last, plain devil's advocate, if we're doing that for everything from an agenda, everything in a meeting that's voted upon does not take effect until after the meeting, do we want to motion that takes effect at this meeting? Am I correct or incorrect in that?
I think, given the nature of the motion, it would be effective as soon as the motion was made and approved.
Okay.
any further, yes, sir?
One other thing,
Okay.
do we know how they feel about it? Do they want, does it bother them to have to stay, or, it may not be an issue? If it,
Is it okay?
I'm gonna
Can
stay
we allow them?
yeah,
They
that's what I'm
Because there may
saying.
be something I want to know about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the
We're not throwing you out the door, we're just giving you the option.
I mean, if they want to stay.
Exactly,
stay.
they don't have to leave,
Yeah.
but if they want to leave, they're free to go.
So
They're not
I think
mandated to
that
stay here.
It's not mandatory that you stay, but you're more than welcome to stay because we might need you, okay? Okay, is that it? Okay, so the amendment again is to, if there is an agenda item that they might still be involved with, they would stay. That's the motion, that's the amendment, so let's vote on that. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now the motion with the amendment is that they be allowed to leave after their report unless there's item on the agenda in which they would be involved. In that case, they should stay. Not mandatory that they leave, they're allowed, of course, to stay. Okay. Any further discussion on the motion with the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, so all right, now we go into consideration of bills over 2,000. The first, Julie, could you read those, please?
Sure. The first one is the one, I think you all got a copy of Attorney Moore's bill. Then there's the WEX, which is the fleet bill. WASCON, I think, and Ricky may be able to help on that. I think that was already a line item in the budget. However, it is over 2,000, and that's why that one is in there. That is for the, oh, this isn't the one, the other, that was a different one. This one is for a emergency clean out of the mixed liquor basin to Wascon. This next one is the Tennessee Department Environmental and Conservation. That's the one that was the line item, and it was over 2,000, so therefore that's why we're bringing it to council. It is in the budget, it was a line item. The next one is Mid-South Emergency Equipment. That was an emergency repair on the 95 fire truck. And then Kemp's Concrete, that was for curb and sidewalk repair.
Okay. Would I have a motion either to vote separately or together on these? Yes, sir.
Motion to vote together and a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve all together. Did I hear a second to
I'll
that?
second.
Second, any discussion on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. So we approve those. Thank you very much. We have now an opportunity for anyone who is within the city limits or has a business here, citizens' concerns. If anyone wants to address a concern, you are welcome to do so at this time. Okay, I don't think we have any, but thank you. Then we go into the reports, starting with the mayor's report. I do want to, two issues came up that had actually been unfinished business. Dr. Duke was going to be here tonight, but he's out of town on business, so he sent this email, and I just got it this afternoon. So it's just a report on, here. Okay, thank you. It's just from the Planning Commission, his findings about the city park and what can and can't be done there according to FEMA. And basically, as we discussed in the last Planning Commission meeting, all of those lots down there where we were talking about possibly putting a parking, paved parking area that can't be done, FEMA, of course, got rid of all those houses there, and nothing, according to their regulations, can ever be really built on that area. And he's got a huge list here of all the things that can be done or can't be done there. And it includes the city streets, sidewalks, ditches, all of this that's located in the flood zone down there. And basically, his final conclusion is, bottom line, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, and relatively costly to develop any of the city property near the walking track, city park, because they are all either purchased under the hazard mitigation grant program within flood zone AE or actually in the floodway. Yes, sir.
May I address the council on this since I'm assigned to the planning commission on this? Okay. I'm going to speak on behalf of the planning commission here. So we looked at, Dr. Duke and I spent hours and hours and hours looking at stuff for improvements on that city park. There were the three phases we voted on was the street with the sidewalks and the lights, the parking lot area by the walking track 2, and then Barbara was that one corner lot right there at Jefferson and Industrial. The corner lot in Jefferson Industrial was purchased through that flood. It was the flood program from 2010. So basically, we can't do anything on that. We can't even plant trees on it. There's a couple small things we can do on it, but it's pretty much just like, it's got to sit there. It's
on the south side?
Yes, on the
Southeast corner.
yeah. If you're looking at the pool.
Where the
from
Torque
road
House is
on the
down.
left, yeah, right there. So, we can still park in it and everything like that, but it's pretty much next to impossible unless like an active literal Congress happens. The other two areas are hard to do, but they're gonna be along the lines of what we're doing with the walking track. It would be the same process there. If we wanna put sidewalks on there, we have to go through the same course that we did with the walking track. If we wanna put a parking lot in there, we have to go through the same course of that. And that can get pretty pricey because a lot of that money goes into engineering fees. But it is doable because the city owns that property. And because the city owns it, and it wasn't purchased through the flood, that flood program, we have areas to do that. The other thing we looked at possibly doing, and this is just to plant a seed in y'all's heads to see if we want to do it. There's, and Mayor, you may want to correct me on, there's floodplain and flood, like it's, floodway, there's two of those. So part of the city park is in the floodway. But most of it's in a floodplain. But again, anything in a floodway is almost next to, whether the city owns it or not, it's almost next to impossible to develop it, because just a little bit of, an inch of that property is in a floodway, you've got to go through a whole nother mess. So the solution we talked about was possibly basically splitting that property in half to the point where it goes by the Army Corps standard. It's Army Corps, is FEMA standards. It'd be FEMA standards. Yeah, so it'd be FEMA standards. So that way, if we wanted to develop further on the city park, we could do so with going into floodplain ordinances as opposed to floodway ordinances. And that place over there would be floodway. We keep that. So just trying to think outside the box. That might be something we want to look at down the road. But again, if we want to move forward on this stuff, it's going to be pricier. A lot of it's going to be engineering fees. So phase 1 and 2 that we voted on is possible, but there might be some costs that are associated with it. Phase 3, Barbara, was just kind of nothing we can really do on it. And I'm with you. I thought it was a great idea. It's just kind of one of those deals. So, but anyways, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Moving on with my report, the lights at the ball field, we're moving forward with those. You may have already seen Upper Cumberland took all those lights down because of the risk factor, and they would be liable for anything falling, which one already had fallen. And we've cut them down to a size that our bucket trucks can now work on. Upper Cumberland has offered us some recycled lights from Center Hill Dam, which we're testing to see how many. It looks like most of them may be usable, which is quite a savings. It's very good. And we've asked 2 different electrical contractors to give us an estimate of how much it would be to put those lights on 8 poles out there, run the lines and the transformer. Not transformer, but the, what's it called? Breaker box, yes, sorry, the breaker. So we're getting some estimates on that. Once it's all together, then we can move forward. Right now, we're looking, just guesstimate for the engineering, for the electrical, $8,000 to $9,000 at least to do that. And if we can't use the lights, then we would have to buy those also. Yes, sir.
Did you do any checking on the lights? I spoke to them about those lights. Those lights at the dam, is the reason they got rid of them is every time that the water would come out of the dam, the bulbs would break. So there's a lot of vibration, wind vibration and stuff like that. Is it going to be feasible to put them up on a pole, even though they're free? Because I mean, the light bulbs are like $40, $50 a piece anyway.
I think, wasn't it that when they turned on the generators when that happened? I doubt that we'll have that kind of vibration.
The vibration. That's what I thought was the vibration that blew the bulbs.
Right. If we purchased them, we were talking about, I looked them up online, $1,000 to $2,000 each to purchase them. On top of the electrical. Yes, sir.
This is just my opinion. Again, I want to save money where we can, but I don't want to put a Band-Aid on a situation. If we're going to put nice lighting in there, let's get good lighting that we're not going to have to keep spending money on over and over. I like that there's volunteers, but.
Well, I tell you what, we can, because I think we've got an item under.
Is there an item under that?
Unfinished that we,
Okay.
I think I'm just telling you what we found so far, and that we can talk about. You had, I don't know that it's been added back, but I think you said something saying that it was something about the park or lighting, or I don't know that maybe that was another light.
It was an old.
Okay, I'll tell you what, how about if we, let's, if you don't mind, let them test these. We'll let the electricians take a look and see what they think. It would could save us 20 to 25,000. If they do work. If not, then I agree, let's just get new ones and have done with it. I'd like to get, well, can we kind of wait until, because it's not going to happen right away anyway. The electricians are all out.
You can bring us a bill, like an estimate or something,
Yeah.
okay?
Most of the electricians are not available for the next
Why don't we just move this on to the next meeting and have a bill for the electric and get the
Sounds-
test results for the lights, and
I
we'll
think
move from
that's
there
a
and
good
decide
idea.
whether we're gonna use these or get new lights.
Sounds good. We'll put that on the agenda for next time and have all that together to, the other couple of things.
Can I
Yes,
say
sir.
something? Can we have some, like a diagram or something of the lights and,
Yeah, we'll
you
put
know,
that.
like, how many lights there are? or-
Just go out, if you don't mind, the poles are already there around
Yeah.
the field, so you can just take.
But like a
those-
little simple diagram of what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, it's 8 poles around the little ball field there. There's a softball field and then the little area that the junior football.
But they don't light up the rest of the area, the,
It's just for the
the
field.
picnic area, what do we call
Yeah,
it
it's just
there?
for the ball fields.
These lights are very powerful. If we turn one back this
Okay.
way, it would light up the whole picnic area.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about 1,000 watts for
Okay.
each
But
of
if you're trying to
those.
play ball at night up there, you probably could catch a pop fly. 'cause
Well, that's good, because I was hoping it would get another use out of them, such as the ball field. It's lighting up the whole area down there.
Well, we already have lights, some of those lights on the whole end. The other things, I'll just get through this real quickly. The Market Fest, I want to throw that out again, so anybody who's a vendor out there, it's Saturday, April 24th from 9 to 3. We're going to have vendors and food trucks, and now we have one of our committee members is with a lot of bluegrass bands around, so they've got at least 4 bluegrass bands that signed up, some great acts. So I think it'll be just a fun day for the whole family to come out and promote our park. At the same time, the dog park is moving forward. We met yesterday with the chain link man, young John Kelly and his father, and I went out there and they marked off, our guys marked off kind of what they're looking at. He's got a whole plan drawn up, ready to give to the foundation who's going to provide some of the money to help him with this. So he's quite impressive. It's moving forward very well out there. And the swimming pool repairs started this week, so it's torn up. The whole place is torn up, and it's going to be really nice. I hope when they're all finished, it will be like a brand new pool almost out there as far as safety precautions. So that's my report. Attorney Moore, do you have anything you would?
I don't. I assume everybody received the email with a couple of items. I'm glad to answer questions about that or anything else, but no other report.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Going back to your, can I do this? Can you go back to the swimming pool situation again? When can we talk about other uses for the pool, extending the hours, that sort of thing we were talking about there earlier? When can we start doing that? Because the season's going to start.
We can put it on.
Motion to amend.
Increase
We can motion to put that under new business tonight. if
Yeah,
We all vote.
because we need to start talking about that.
It would be good.
May's it's right around the corner.
It would be good to have Sally here, I think.
Yeah, well, that's
you know,
true,
on
yeah.
board with that.
But we need to know if we're going to extend the hours or going to do a group plan for people who want to buy
Well,
season pass or whatever.
they-
All those things need to be taken into consideration.
Just so you know, there are season passes, and she pretty well sells out almost every night for parties right now. So they can rent the.
Like if you
pool.
wanted to sponsor a group like the band, high school band or
Yeah,
something like
they
that.
actually have parties.
Yeah,
on it,
you know, we need to start talking about this because it's right around the corner.
Okay, but what I'm saying is they do actually rent the pool for parties,
Yeah.
special parties and things. We get quite a bit of money actually from that every year. But we can put it on the agenda and ask Sally to come if you want to be part of that. Yes, sir.
I'd like to just, we can preliminarily start talking about it
Yeah,
tonight.
we
So
need
I'd
to
like to
start.
motion that we add this to the agenda under new business tonight. Just have some discussion about pool hours.
But we need to have her here too. So-
That's, no, that's fine. I
Okay.
mean, maybe we can discuss and then, I mean, we don't need to make a decision tonight, but we can start discussion, get some ideas out there and then get her direction so she can come prepared. So if anyone wants to second that motion.
Well, we've got a pretty full agenda. I don't know if.
You don't have to, but it's up to y'all.
I'll second, yeah, because we do need to get it started.
Do you
I'm
mind
very
if we
concerned.
put it at the very end? Because we
At the
have
very end, yeah,
several
just
agenda
quickly,
items.
we can.
I don't think we need to make a decision, just discuss it.
Okay. Are all in favor of moving or adding that to the end of our agenda tonight? Can we do that?
Yes, if
Once it's been posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
We take a vote.
Okay. All in favor of adding this extra item about the swimming pool to the end of our new business agenda tonight? Say aye, please. Okay. All right, any opposed?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so, Mr. Moore, that was in your report?
That's it.
Okay. Chief Davis, do you have a report for police?
Yeah, I turned in a report, our monthly report, as always. Anybody has any questions, please feel free.
Okay, that's our
Anything else?
handout here.
Business as usual.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief Davis? Okay, thank you. Mr. Leslie in Public Works, anything?
Y'all notice West Third Avenue when it rained up, it come off that bank down there? Y'all need to be thinking about what y'all gonna do with that.
And I'm glad you brought that up because there's also a utility pole there that, you have to wonder
They didn't replace it.
have it,
Yeah.
They worked on it the other day.
and it's all the way down to Sam's place and
So we want to do something with it. We don't, something will be out the road there, we're gonna see.
That needs a retaining wall.
That's what it needs.
Okay. We can, I'm just gonna motion this, so we can have discussion on it. Motion to get, bids on that retaining
I'm
wall.
just saying something needs to be done.
yeah. Not to mention the problem is mowing it.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to take bids for a retaining wall. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of motion to get bids for a retaining wall? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Okay. Julie, do you have that, please?
Well, why can't it be? Maybe
We'll have to get that in the paper. We'll get an engineer for the specifications.
Yeah, depending on the,
Yeah.
how big the retaining wall needs to be.
Okay, so we will have to bring an engineer to help us get the specifications.
Is that motion the sufficient?
I think that, yeah, that can get the process started.
Get it started.
Yeah,
Okay,
and just for clarification, if y'all are all agreeing to add stuff to the agenda that's not on here and you vote for it, I'm not gonna say anything, so we're just gonna, I think that's perfectly appropriate, it seems like it's an urgent matter, so,
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
that's.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any further, okay. Water and sewer, Derek?
I don't have anything to report. Everything's going pretty smoothly at this time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I've got a question. As usual, I get a call about when the fire hydrants are let off, what do you do to them? And how long is water gonna be off? And, is there any way that y'all contact City Hall? Because I have told them to call down there.
Was this
But
recent?
this happened to be right in front of the house, so I just said, they're doing that out there.
You're talking about the water outage? Yeah, I notified Cindy at.
Well, that's why
at
I
City
told a
Hall.
person or two people, I said, you need to call City Hall about that.
Yeah,
We
we have,
call
to-
them.
I called and let Cindy know in case she had any calls.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for the water sewer? Okay. Thank you. The water plant?
Well, I don't have an official report. It was a trying week with that rain and that flood and everything. Everything went well. That 45-year-old plan handled it pretty good. So we've done really well. I'd like to maybe give some credit where credit is due, though. We had some electrical problems that night due to the storm, and I come in, and about the time I got that straightened out, the Turkey Creek water tank just started draining. And at 2:34 a.m., I called Derek and Les and told them that, something was going on, and they were already up working in town, and they got on it. I had to call the utility district at 2:34 to shut them down because they were about to be pulling air. And at 3:45 a.m., I was able to call them back and tell them we had it under control. So in just over an hour, they located a break in Turkey Creek in the flood, in the ditches, and had it valved off. So I have to give them credit where credit was due there. So,
Absolutely.
But other than that, everything is, went smoothly, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, and to your point, I know we've said this before, but through the snowstorms, through the semi-tornadoes that came through, the flooding, all of our employees from Public Works to our police, our dispatch, our sewer, our water, we just want to thank all of you, and the EMS and the EMA and Sheriff's Department for all the hard work you did. I mean, we've said it over and over, you're the backbone of this city that keeps it running. We really appreciate it, and our financial too, but during that time moving us forward, we really appreciate all of you. So thank you from all of us for that. Okay, the wastewater plant, Mr. Ricky, you're here?
I just report that we finally got our Turner Farm lift station upgraded done. That was okay back by the council in 2019 when they okayed it. That's rolled over, that's when the COVID hit, so that put Wascon on hold for a while. But we got that took care of, so if we go ahead and get the bill, then that should be in next month.
Great.
A pretty good feel, but it was okay by the council.
Okay, great, thank you.
And we're tickled what they did. I mean, it needed, and it looks like a new station down there with all the valves and the telemetry they put in there. We're tickled to have it, and we appreciate y'all okaying us to have this done.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Ms. Danielle's not here tonight, and then our new finance officer, Scott Gazelle.
Missed the,
Fire.
Oh, Joe, I'm so sorry. So sorry. How could I do that?
I've got 18 calls in March. Don't have a written report because the portal's down again. It's a daily occurrence, almost daily. I did bring an email, which I showed a couple of you. I'm not making it up. I am looking at aftermarket software.
Okay.
Have something like, just don't want to spend that much money on it. So I'm looking for something cheaper.
Okay.
The repair bill that y'all approved tonight was on the ladder truck. It was a water pump, and those water pumps get expensive. I'm not talking about the fire pipe, I'm talking about the motor water pump. So it was expensive to repair. We finished our winter basic fireplace. That's finished. We'll have another one this fall. And that's pretty much all I've got.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
any update on the property line?
I got the plans laying back here to give the mayor.
Yeah.
Good to go?
We'll
We're
have
much
it.
better. We're closer than that than we were a month ago.
Yeah.
Any idea on groundbreaking?
Oh, gosh. I'm sorry.
You want to go ahead and address it?
Well,
If it's coming up a little bit, we can-
so,
okay.
yeah. So, okay. Joe, is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now, our new CMFO, Scott Gazelle, we're very glad to have here. And Scott, do you have a report?
Sure, I do. Julie will be handing that out, but I'll kind of go over it. There's no way you can look at this in 2 minutes and figure it out, but that's, our goal is to give you a high bird's eye view of things. As you get it, you can kind of look over it, and then if you have questions between now and next meeting, if you'll just send me an email, I'll get an answer to everybody. But there's a couple of components, or 3 components that I'm trying to give to you. The first is a current cash balance report as of March 31st. That kind of gives you an idea of what bank accounts we have, and they're reconciled through March 30, or actually through February 28th. Didn't have all the statements for, yesterday was the last day of the month. The next part that you have is a statement of revenues and expenditures, which is basically all the funds you can look at and see the annual budget, year-to-date actual, and how much budget's remaining. Once again, it'd be a lot better now if you could look at all of it and figure it out in 2 minutes' time. The last part of the finance report given to you is, since we're going to start with budgeting here with the supervisors next week at the next meeting, we'll meet with them, give them the initial budget worksheets, and they'll begin to do their work, and we'll work through that process. But I felt like it was important to give to you a bird's eye view of our revised annual budget that reflects all the budget amendments to this point in time, so that's the last enclosure that's there. It's called a revised annual budget. So not hardly ready for council work yet. The supervisor's got to do their work, and once we got all that together, we'll provide that and go from there. So, but that's what I have at this time. I guess the last item is, just so you be aware, there's an American Rescue Plan Act that's passed by Congress. It's COVID related. We do not know how much we're going to get, although there's one website that says maybe 99,000, but we do not know how much is coming to us from that, but it will be coming. We're supposed to get it within, the first part of it within 2 months, and then the last half of it by December 31st of 2021. But that's all we have on that.
And it's wonderful that we are now almost reconciled through February.
We are reconciled through February, and
Fantastic.
this time next week we'll be reconciled through March.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
I might say, none of that could happen without Julie and Cindy, because
That's right.
they're fine ladies and doing a great job, so I appreciate what they're doing. I couldn't do anything without them making it happen.
There you go. Thank you.
Question for you, on that American Rescue Plan, what is that, are we gonna get details on where we can spend that, how we can spend that, things like that?
They haven't released that yet, but what they have said, the comptroller's office has said there's going to be very specific items, and so they're going to require us to have a separate bank account, going to require us to have separate chart of accounts. The comptroller will be sending out a new chart of accounts for that program, and you got to use it in the right way because it'll be highly subject to audit. That's pretty much basic information at this time.
You think it's gonna be close to that 600 mark maybe?
600?
I saw 600, 626 was the number I saw.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah, I don't know where that figure is coming from. The only thing we've got in the state of Tennessee is 99,000. But we don't know really. It's based on population and how it's allocated.
Gotcha, okay.
We did talk to the comptroller's office and a couple of others, and there are a lot of rumors, they said, flying out there, but there's no specific on this just yet. That would be wonderful, but we'll
Like 6.
we'll see when they finally give us the word.
676 or something like that.
NLC.org.
All right.
676,000.
Thank you very much.
NLC.org.
Okay, then we'll go into the grants now. So let's just take a couple of, Evan, minor engineer, we've got the walking track, and then it's not a grant, but can you tell us about the fire hall too? The grant, fire hall's out of pockets.
We've got the contracts to the attorney Moore, he's going to review those for, between y'all and House and Garden. Once he approves them, we'll get that sent to the state. They're still going back and forth about comments with Marcy, which is y'all's administrator now, and we're trying to get that worked through, but as soon as we get the contract is ready to go.
And this is the walking track you're speaking of?
Yeah, the walking
Okay,
track.
yeah.
So he's ready to go. So as soon as the state recreational trails program gets satisfied, that project will be started. The fire hall, there is 3 states that we put out their approximate property lines, not property line, approximate. Everybody know that. They're good. No pins put in the ground at this time. That is our best. I ain't gonna say it's a guess, but it's pretty close to where it's going to be. I mean, it's within a foot. As far as where the property line is, we're nowhere close to it. Our construction will be nowhere close to it. There's 2 other states that's down there. That's where our limits are. So if you go down there, you see blue and orange flag, and that's the approximate property line. If you see just an orange state, that is where the grade is going to stop. So there's plenty of room there. So that's been staked. The plans are down for Chief Hite and the mayor to look at and approve. Once they're approved, or before they're approved, either way, depends on how fast they get approved. We're going to try to get it in the paper and get it advertised for bid. So it's ready to go.
And I will add, all 3 property owners or representatives have met with us, and they're on board with this project. They're very much on board with this. They understand how important this fire hall will be for the community, so we're, as far as that, we're fine. So that's it. So, and the other grant right now is the water pump, and Mr. Lee just sent this update report, and he's the grant writer for this. The contract amendment, of course, you remember it was going to be a water tank, and then we got it approved, which is, we were very lucky to get it switched over to a water pump system under the same grant, because it's achieving the same goal ultimately. That's been approved. It's been sent down to TDEC, and the only thing now is that we do have to do another environmental review because it's changed locations. So they'll be meeting with them on Monday to determine what level of clearance they will need. It might take 45 to 65 days. It says that's the best scenario. Worst scenario would take 90 to 120 to get the environmental clearance, but he's hoping it would be the first because they've really been on board to help us with this. They've gone out of the way, the ARC people, and it's pretty amazing. Once it's approved, they'll submit plans and specs. Typically, it doesn't take that long. Best scenario for this, the project can begin is maybe July 1st. The worst would be around September is what he's saying. So that's our grant writer, but they've been very cooperative to this point, the TDEC folks, so I think they're kind of trying to help us move this forward, so that's a good thing. As far as our loans from State Revolving Fund, we still are waiting for paperwork on those, so that takes them a bit of time to get that. Yes, sir.
Where are we at with the I&I project?
That's a State Revolving Fund.
That's a state
loan.
revolving, okay.
All of the engineering things have been sent in, all the paperwork. It's just like every week they find some new thing that we're supposed to be doing, the engineers primarily, but they're very close to that. We have the contract actually that we've looked over and have sent it back. So now it's in their hands to say, okay, here's the formal contract we're sending back to you for the loan. And once that's approved by y'all and signed, then it moves forward. It's a long process, but we're getting very much closer than we were before in that, so thank goodness. Okay, so we'll go into unfinished business. Okay, the first item on here is the building inspection fees resolution. I hear a motion on that item.
Seeing that we're just discussing kind of how we've been doing with everything else, I'm going to just kind of open this up.
We need a motion to discuss anything. It's Robert's rules unless we
Did we have motions for anything that we just discussed?
Well, yeah, this is a resolution for action to take, so I think that's probably the best way to start the discussion.
Okay.
It has to be a motion to approve it.
Motion to discuss this resolution on abolishing our building inspection fees.
I think, does it have to be a motion to approve?
Do you want to make a motion to approve?
Motion approved, yeah.
So we have a motion to approve this resolution to abolish building inspection fees. Do I hear a second to that motion?
And I'd love to get some
If there's-
background on this, if that's okay. I mean,
If
I
there's
really feel like
if
that's,
there's no second, we have to move on. It dies for lack of a second.
again, all right.
Yeah, I think you really need a second to get into something like that, in my opinion. Now, again, if the council wants to discuss it, like you've discussed other things, that can happen, but on this item, there's no second, and so I think it dies for lack of a second.
Okay, the second item on unfinished business is 2A Sanctuary City Resolution. Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
All right, well, I'll go ahead and make my motion. If we're going to do this, I'll make my motion properly then. This is my motion to introduce a resolution to protect and defend the Constitution, right to keep and bear arms, and providing other matters related to the subject, whereas the Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of our nation.
Excuse me.
And whereas, I'm in the middle of a motion, Mayor,
Well-
whereas the citizens of Carthage recognize their duty as law-abiding citizens to act in accordance with the U.S. Constitution and the Tennessee Constitution. And whereas the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, adopted in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, prohibits the infringement of the inalienable and individual right of the people to keep and bear arms. And whereas the Tennessee Constitution, Article 1, Section 26, declares that the citizens of the state have a right to keep and bear arms for their common defense, and whereas the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, adopted in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, prohibits the infringements of the rights of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. And whereas the Tennessee Constitution, Article 1, Section 7, declares that people shall be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and possessions from unreasonable searches and seizures, and that general warrants whereby an officer may be commanded to search suspected places without evidence of the fact committed, or to seize any person or persons not named whose offenses are not particularly described and supported by evidence, are dangerous to liberty and ought not to be granted. And whereas the Ninth Amendment to the United States Constitution, adopted in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, prohibits certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And whereas the United States Supreme Court has affirmed an individual's rights to possess firearms unconnected with service in a militia, and whereas the members of the Carthage City Council...
Excuse me.
I'm in the middle of a motion, Mayor, thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
I have the
We
floor
have
right now.
2-minute limit. You've gone over that 2-minute
No,
limit.
I'm in the middle of a motion right now.
Well, actually...
I have not gone over my 2-minute limit. If you don't mind, I'd like to finish my motion.
Excuse me, sir, just
You are out of line, Mayor.
Just a
The United
second.
States Supreme Court has...
Sir, you're out of order.
I am not out of order.
Please,
You are out of order, Mayor.
Please stop.
I can get a gavel too. You're out of order. I'm in the middle of a motion right now.
Excuse me, sir, you're out of order.
Members of the
Do you wanna
Carthage
make-
City
do you
Council
wanna
each
make-
took an oath
would
to
you like to
support and
make a
defend the
motion?
Constitution of the United States and the
Would you
laws
like
which
to
are
make a
deemed.
motion, sir?
I'm in the middle of making a motion. Thank you very
I'd like
much.
to recommend that the officer move this person who has been asked to stop and is out of order.
Cole, can you just let it go with the resolution being read and to see if there's a second on it? I mean,
No,
we historically, since I've been here and everywhere else I've been, you read the resolution, the caption, you see if you get a second on that, not read the entire resolution. So that would.
But
seem to be-
am I within Robert's Rules of Order? Do I have the floor right now to read
No.
my motion as I have read it? Am I within
You
it?
have a 2-minute limit to speak.
Okay.
So if
Have
you're
I gone
outside of
over my
that,
2-minute
I'm
limit?
sure
Yes,
you
you
have.
I've gone over my 2-minute limit.
I'm sure that you've gone over 2 minutes in reading that, yes. So if you'd like to stop it.
Could
What
you
I'd
just-
like to suggest
Have a
is,
second on.
Could you just make a motion, please?
Simple motion.
what we've come down to is we're playing politics with this, y'all. We can have a civil discussion, you can second this, and then you can vote it down.
Excuse me,
But we're
sir.
limiting,
Excuse me, sir, make your motion, please, so we can have
my
a discussion.
motion is to adopt a sanctuary area for Second Amendment rights. So that way, if the federal government comes in here and tells us what we can or can't do with our firearms, which is going on right now in this country,
Okay, we have a motion.
We have a
We have a motion to adopt this resolution that has been presented for sanctuary city and the rest of this resolution. Do I hear a second to this motion? All right, it has no section, so seconds, guys, for lack of a second, we'll move on. The next item in the business is property tax resolution. Do I hear a motion?
yes, I have a motion, and I'd like to, hang on a second. I have a resolution directing the CMFO, motion to adopt the resolution directing the CMFO to report a draft budget ordinance with the revenue projections based on a 50% reduction in property taxes for the town of Carthage, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021. Whereas the town of Carthage.
The motion has been
Right,
made.
whereas the
motion-
town of
the
Carthage,
motion
I
to this
still,
reg-
you are,
The motion
you're
has been
interrupting.
made.
Do I get 2 minutes or not?
Sir, they can read the motion, they can read it themselves, the resolution.
I'd like to finish my motion, Mayor. You are out of line. In the middle of giving reasons of the motion, which is in here.
These people are all adults, they can read this, please.
The 2 minutes is going to be over.
But I didn't even get to 20 seconds.
Would you just please make the motion, then you can speak to it all you want. That's the way it works.
I'm in the middle of explaining my motion because unlike other things, I will do this.
This is not a civil meeting.
It is not a civil meeting at all.
So either the person that's out of order needs to be removed or the council needs to leave.
Would you please remove, sir, police chief, would you please remove Councilman? He's been out of order continuously.
Councilman Eagle, they're asking you to leave, so you're gonna have to leave. I'm sorry.
Well, I proudly will leave defending the Second Amendment and trying to cut a 50% property tax rate and being interrupted on my motion because I did have the floor and I am in order. You are out of order. So if this is how we're going to bully, you can't keep me quiet with Robert's Rules of Order, you can't keep it whatever, that's fine. I'm for it. But this has definitely not been civilized. We have not had a good discussion here whatsoever. It has not been good. This is politics. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Chief. The next item on the agenda are the second reading of the budget amendment for the pool repair. That's, excuse me, budget. Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This is second reading. All, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of, on the second reading of the budget amendment, BA 2021-0304, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, that passes, thank you. The next is an ordinance, second reading of, this is the personnel policy, ordinance number, okay, CCO 20210-301-2. And it's an ordinance to, I believe Mr. Moore sent out the full ordinance of the personnel policy with the changes earlier.
Right, this is just the personnel policy, and I attached it to the email I sent. It is just being cleaned up with the changes that were made at the workshop, and then the change to the administrative holiday that we approved last month.
Okay, yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, do I have a second?
Wait a minute, Phil, there's not, yes.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't know where I am right now.
This is the personnel policy.
We'll run number five.
This is number 5,
Okay, hold on, let me get there.
personnel policy.
Personnel policy, okay.
Yes.
So I second,
Okay,
so we can discuss.
yes.
The only thing that's been brought to my attention is something else, I don't know, we may want to, while we're doing this, consider, it's been brought to my attention that there are some very long-term individuals that work for the city that would like for us to look at the possibility of paying for insurance once they would retire if they are long-term employees. And they would, maybe we look at paying for their insurance once they retire. And I know some counties do that. I'd just like to get more information about
Sure.
that. I don't want to hold this up.
Okay, we can.
But I'd like to look at
That
that.
would probably be something our CMFO would need to run the numbers on, and he could, you want him to bring it back next time to the meeting, would that work?
Yeah, that sounds good. Like, you know, if they were 25 years, we would maybe pay a part of it, or if they were 30 years, maybe pay a little bit more. You know, it would just be for those few long-term employees that have stayed with the city consistently throughout their career. And maybe we could look at helping with insurance if need be.
If that-
That's what I was gonna ask you, is there a time limit of employment?
And we could look at that, but it would definitely be long-term, long-term employees.
And right now, it's.
That were near retirement age.
Right. And right now, it's the individual employee that is insured, the family, they have to pay for that. So you're just talking about the individual?
I'm just talking about
Okay,
the employee.
okay. Yes, sir.
Do we know some cities that have done this that maybe Scott could contact,
That would help, it'd be helpful if you know something. If not, I can find it.
just to get a parameter of what
I
they do?
don't, off the top of my head, I'd
that.
have to research it,
Okay.
but I know it has been done.
Okay. So we'll ask Scott to do that and bring it back. Yes.
Am I allowed to ask a question? Are you talking about at retirement?
At retirement,
Okay.
after
Because
retirement.
the council approved 2 or 3 years ago, I guess it was, that they could keep the rate that we are originally paying.
To pay it themselves at that rate.
Yeah, they pay themselves,
Okay.
but they get the better rate.
Yeah, that is.
But
a
you're
good
talking
start.
about retirement.
I'm talking about retirement.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Barber, are you talking also about the city paying that premium?
Just to look at it and see what it might cost us. And that would be for career employees.
Make a note here. And maybe we can, by next week, next month, think about what is the definition of the long-term too that you want to put in. Okay. So we'll put that as an item.
So,
Yes, yes,
okay.
sir.
So what does that do? You're saying, what
I'm
does that
sitting
do
there
to
thinking about,
this?
okay, so
Second
paying
reading.
a certain amount of their premium upon retirement, is that what you're saying? Okay, all right. I'll
So
get
we'll
that made.
we'll investigate the numbers and put that on next time. Yes, sir.
What does the sheriff's department do? Never mind.
I got a question for Attorney Moore, if it's possible.
Yeah, sure.
You just do it all. When this ordinance goes in, can we do a motion to amend the ordinance to add Barbara's thing to the ordinance if we approve the ordinance tonight?
Well, what I would suggest is just approve the ordinance tonight. I don't think it's within the scope of what we have, but.
I mean, in the future, if we decide to do this, can we make an amendment to?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure we can do that, okay?
Okay. So any further discussion on the ordinance? Motion to approve the changes to the personnel policy ordinance. Any further? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And then we'll address the other issues next week, or next month. Excuse me. Okay, the next item is, now these get into the zoning codes that we passed on first reading, and there was a public hearing earlier. So ordinance P-2021-0225, parentheses 1, that's to amend the zoning map, and if you look at the accompanying thing here, it's basically Vivian Lane. There's a parcel of land up there that the owner wants to rezone to R3 from C3, so he can build something residential there. Do I have a motion to approve on second reading?
Is it a discussion?
Motion to approve.
Yeah, motion approved. Second.
And a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right. Can you explain where Vivian Lane is?
Sure. If you come up Smotherman, do you know where the apartments are over
Yeah.
the fairground? It's that little road that goes up to where the old water tank used to be up there. It's a very short road.
There's like 2 or 3 houses.
Yeah, 2 or 3 houses. So, okay, you come up Smotherman.
Up Smotherman, okay, got it.
And you know where the apartments are?
Yeah,
Okay, before you get to those, there's a little road called Vivian that goes straight up and it dead ends in cul-de-sac there. There's
Okay.
maybe 3 houses on it. And this piece parcel.
they moved those houses in there, right?
Yes.
They were moved from another location.
Yes.
Is that right?
Right.
Okay, I know where you're at.
And
Yeah.
I believe last time he had a map actually of that area. So it's at the end of the cul-de-sac over to the left. There's
Okay, I
2
got you.
parcels of land. One is R3 and the other C2. He wants to combine and make it all R3
Okay,
with the possibility of putting townhouses or something there.
okay.
But- So, any further discussion on that? We just need to amend that parcel of land to R3. Okay, have, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is ordinance number P-2021-0225, parentheses 2, and that's, okay, that's the amendment to the zoning code to allow townhouses here. And we have voted once to approve this. Do I hear a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor of this ordinance to allow townhouses in that area?
Aye.
Aye.
And I believe it's only R3 right now, they're allowed that. Any opposed? Okay, that passes, thank you. The next one is Reading of ordinance P 202-10225, parentheses 4A, and these two are what they call companion pieces, so there's 4A and 4B, if you'll see that. One is to clarify penalties for violations, and this is vagrant violations of building codes or zoning ordinances, where they're like, have been asked to stop and they just keep doing it, and it's a $50 penalty per day. And then the parentheses 4B is the companion to that, and it just more or less defines what these penalties are. So we would vote on them together, 4A and B. Do I have a motion to approve both together?
Motion.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion on that?
Just briefly, because I'll make sure I'm not misremembering, that I thought we had discussed on first reading adding a notice provision before,
We did. Is that not in there?
I don't think it's in the one that I have.
Oh, I think
I had
Danielle
prepared some
copied.
language.
I think she copied the wrong one.
Okay.
I mean, that's the, I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't actually put it into this form in the ordinance, but I had prepared some language to be
Okay.
inserted.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know Dr. Duke and I had corresponded about it, but I'm not sure if it,
Well, no, it should be in
Gotta
there. I'm
be on
sorry, I
there.
thought it was. I need to read. Do you have that language here by chance?
I don't, I might just ask if
Could we?
you want to have that language inserted, that we just pass this and put it on the agenda for the next, because without Dr. Duke here, I don't want to.
Okay. So could we make a motion to approve as was amended in your, or was?
Good, let's see.
Because I know you put that language in there. I'm
Right.
sorry, I thought that was in here too. She must have copied a different version.
Yeah, so the language generally was to basically require a 30-day notice
Right.
before a citation for violation of a zoning ordinance would be issued, unless there was a safety issue that needed to be remedied sooner than that. And so I can add that into this ordinance if you want to pass it as was approved on first reading.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, and that was consensus last time. We
Mhm.
talked about that.
Can we just be emailed out once it's done?
Well, and I can read it, notwithstanding the foregoing, that's after the section, the town shall issue a written warning to any person or business for any first offense violation of, or provision of the zoning code. If a person or business does not comply with the zoning code within 30 days of receiving such notice, a citation shall be issued for violation, and the town may seek penalties for the violations from the date of the warning notice. Nothing herein shall prevent the town from taking immediate action to remedy a violation of the zoning code if such violation creates an immediate danger of harm to individuals or the public. So we just request that that language be added to this ordinance
Okay.
4A.
And actually, it should have been in here. I'm sorry, I don't know why.
So we don't need a motion to do that?
I would, yeah, if you'll just approve it again, that as
Okay.
amended.
I'll make that motion to add that language.
Okay,
Second.
second. Okay, any discussion about adding that language in? Okay. So with that language added, could we have all in
Motion to
favor?
approve. Do we need a motion to approve, or?
Well, do we need,
Yeah, just let's vote on the motion to amend it first, since
Yeah.
we've done it that way.
okay, any further discussion about the amendment? If not, all in favor of amending it with this language?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we'll go back to
The
the
original.
full motion with the amendment to it. Did you want to?
Make a motion to approve it with the,
Yes.
We've already got that.
I think that was already on the.
We're just ready to
table.
vote on it.
Amended it, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
We already got that motion.
Okay, all in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Go right ahead. Any opposed? All right, so we've taken into that language, thank you very much on that. All right, then the next item is
Stevens Building.
Stevens Building, right, okay, and Councilman Babcock, did you have a motion on that?
I gave y'all a copy of what it's gonna cost for supplies to put the ceiling up in the Stevens building. It's $4,955.39. That's to put insulation and then RC2 board up. From my understanding, we spray paint that black with latex paint as opposed to oil-based paint, and it would be would cover it, give a black ceiling, and the insulation, be able to put the heat and air in there, and we'd use it at a fraction of the cost. I make a motion that we approve to accept this. If we don't accept this, I make a motion that we just table the Stevens building for, we're done with it.
I'll second the motion.
May I, for clarification, is this just the supplies, or do you have a,
No, that's just supplies.
okay, do we know who would do this, or?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I've talked to Les and them, they said that they would be able to do it, but not like all at one time, just bits and pieces. And if it takes them 6 months to do it, it takes them 6 months, but it's not gonna cost us any more money. And he said, he told me they're gonna be busy coming into the mowing season and stuff like that, I get it.
do we have a scaffolding for that kind of?
But that'll be something that I've gotta get a separate bid on renting the
Yeah,
scaffold.
you can rent that, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that high.
Uh,
It'd still be a whole lot cheaper than spending the $9,000 on
How
the.
many tiers of scaffolding do we need, do you think? Will 3 do it?
Probably
I think 3 would be fine,
I've got scaffolding.
so we've got scaffold.
I just want to make sure y'all are okay with it.
Anytime.
No, and there's no time limit on when he gets this completed. If he gets 10 minutes to work on today, that's fine. If it takes him 3 months, 4 months.
Quit, somebody else can do it.
No, we ain't no rush.
No, there's no,
We've been talking about this for 2
there's
years.
no rush.
I'm tired of talking about it.
Yeah, it's at your leisure, how about that?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Can
Get it done.
can I just in case,
And if it looks
There's
like
a-
you need help, you'll let the council know that this is not doable, let's do another plan.
The only thing I hope that it holds the heat, it being that far up, that's the only thing I hope. You see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I understand.
I'll paint the Sistine Chapel on it if it works.
Do what?
I'll paint the Sistine Chapel on it if it works.
Okay. I don't know.
my one concern, I'll be honest, is just the safety of our employees. That's an unusual thing for them to be doing.
I'll do whatever y'all want to do, you know.
Okay,
Like I said, you know, mowing season right now,
Like I said, it's not something that has to be done tomorrow.
do we know if we just hired someone, how much it would cost for them to do
Do
that?
we want to check on that cost, or do you already have that? What it would cost for labor?
I'm going with this motion.
Okay,
I'd say we could go ahead and approve this,
okay,
and then if we decide we want to try to hire somebody, that can be, maybe put that on the agenda for next meeting, we got time to.
Well, I'm just done with discussing this.
okay. All right, so the motion is
To approve buying the supplies to put the insulated ceiling in the Stevens building, how about that?
Second.
okay.
Okay, I do have a question then, if we have
Okay.
motions. So you mentioned heat and air, is that going to be another
That's
discussion?
we've already got the bid on that for $6,400, I believe it
I
is.
think the mayor's got the bid on it. Jason West,
Yes.
Yeah, it's $6,400.
So is your motion to approve both those? Or just?
Well,
No,
let's
just
just
for-
do them
just
separately if you don't mind.
just for the supplies.
This is just for the supplies due to the, I will, let me rescind this motion.
You're probably gonna need a new bid for installation of the heat and air once you have this done, so,
Yeah.
because that's gonna be, sounds like several weeks off, maybe a few months off, so you're probably gonna have to get a new estimate or bid on it then.
So we're not gonna put it in until that's done.
Yeah, we're not gonna put it until the installation's done anyway, that's what
Right.
wouldn't make sense, but yeah, we can do that.
I say just move forward, please.
Move forward with this and then.
Move
make
forward with
that
this, then
another
we'll get a
agenda.
second,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so the motion is to
Approve
approve.
the purchase of the supplies to put
Purchase of
the
the
installation
supplies.
and ceiling in the Stevens building.
We have the motion and second. Any further discussion on that?
Just a second, who seconded?
I did.
Oh, well, Barbara, Bill. Okay, if no further discussion, all in favor, aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. And we do, I think, have a tax ID with them, so maybe we'll save a little money on that too when we purchase it. Okay, the
Yeah,
next,
I didn't have to count the city's tax number, so I couldn't say we're tax exempt.
that's okay.
I know
We are, we are.
I know we are, but I don't have the number.
Well, we have to make sure with them that we are. Some places will give it to us and some don't, so I think they will probably.
On file.
We do, okay, good.
They got it on file.
The next item is no longer on here. Going into new business, we have, for our employees' pension, we have the actuary contribution rate, and Scott, would you speak just to the numbers, and I think in the past we've just approved staying with what we have, but would you explain the numbers, please?
Our, every year, the TCRS actuarials compute for every municipality what their rate is to keep their portion of the pension going. And our rate, I don't remember exactly, it was 7.26 or something like that, but it didn't change from last year. I spoke with our representative, said that we had a great rate. We have elected at some point in time to pay 9.09%, and that takes care of those years where the market doesn't do very well at all, so that we can ensure the retirement is sound. So we're in good shape with it. My recommendation is we approve what we have.
Okay, the recommendation is to approve. Do I hear a motion to that effect? Yes, sir.
Motion to approve the rate the same as it was as last year at the 9.09% according to the CMFO.
Okay, did I hear a second to that, please?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move forward. Thank you. There's a mowing contract. This was brought to my attention by our city recorder. It's up for renewal. If we want to keep Dickerson Lawn Care, it's been quite good. I think, according to our public works, they do great work. Yeah, so if I can get a motion to approve their contract again, if that's okay with y'all?
Motion to approve it.
Okay. Second, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. It's approved. We'll get that signed. And do I have to, I can just go ahead and sign it with him since they've approved it. Okay, thank you. Building codes and inspection. Attorney Moore, did you have?
So within the last couple of weeks, we had an issue arise where there could have been a potential building code violation. And then, so in looking into it, I talked with the person who's on contract for the town to do building inspections. I haven't seen an agreement, but it's my understanding from him that he's only contracted with to do building inspections for new permits. When a new permit's pulled, he goes out and does an inspection of the new work. Again, I haven't seen the agreements that are in place, but the town probably needs to have someone available when there is a potential codes violation, whether it's a building code, or of course the fire chief would inspect for fire codes, but also for zoning codes. If there's a setback violation or other zoning violations, someone to go out and do an investigation and inspection and decide if some enforcement measure is necessary, because especially with regard to building codes, in order to prove some sort of violation and remedy it, you're going to have somebody that's licensed to do that, to be able to testify. So my suggestion was just to bring that before the board and maybe see about getting that addressed, at least heading into the next fiscal year.
We've needed for some time to have a zoning codes person to do setbacks and that kind of thing. We don't have, our building person won't do that. Yes, sir.
I would make the motion that we either advertise or put something together for a job description and have this take place if we want to do this.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to advertise for, put in a job description for what we need in this situation. Do I have any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? All right, thank you. Okay, the next three, we're not,
Four is already
four.
done.
Oh, that's it?
So
No,
go
no,
to
no.
go to 5. You've already done number 4.
No, but the next one's 5. Right, okay. Sorry, excuse me. Attorney, council communication, do I have a motion concerning that?
It's not really a motion, it's just a discussion that I want to have, so I don't know. What do we do in that case?
I would make a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss agenda item number 6.
I'll second.
Okay. So.
All in favor?
All in favor, okay. Aye, please?
Aye.
Okay.
What I was getting out of this is if one of us has communication with Attorney Moore, I think we should all be involved in that communication. There should not be separate communications between each council member and the attorney. That way we're all kept abreast of what's going on.
Makes sense.
That's what I wanted to address with this. That way if I've got a concern with him, you all will be included in the same thing, that we're all getting the same information, and we're not going off half of this and not getting the full information for everyone.
So would that be like if someone sent an email with a question, it would be
Then we
responded
should all be courtesy copied in that email, that way we know what's going on and we get the information so we can all make a decision together as a council.
You're talking about email? Is
Yeah,
that-
email.
Or if there's
Not
a phone call, would he respond to everyone, or how would you?
Well, I mean, we should be kept, I guess, let's just say that if we do make a phone call, we send out an email saying, hey, I contacted the attorney, these are the results, or something, so that we're all kept in the loop, if that makes sense. Unless y'all got some better ideas.
Most of the time it would be an email, though.
Yeah, most times it would be an email for.
CCs are too, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mayor, would you want to add the financial statement auditor to that as well, so that you're consistent with your
I
professional?
think Scott had actually already said earlier he was going to let everybody know if a question was addressed, he would address everyone with the answers, so.
Yeah, I think it should fall under any area that includes us in making decisions as a council, that we should all be informed of everything that goes on.
I think part of it is you are a body of 6 people, and that's part of what this is. Yes, ma'am, did you have, Barney?
I 100% agree. My question is, just having worked with the county as well, and because this is going to involve a cost to the city, obviously, rightly so, should it come to the mayor's office first, so that if it's a question that has already been answered or already been taken care of, it's not going to cost the city, it's not going to be repetitive, whereas I know as a county commissioner, I would have taken it to the mayor and make sure that cost was needed. Does that make sense? I mean,
yes,
do
if you
we
would.
have the right to go directly? We've discussed this before, but I've forgotten. Do we have the right to go directly to the attorney?
Well,
Or
again,
should we contact the mayor first? I don't know, that's just a question I've always had.
wouldn't be a bad idea, and copy everybody, and then if we've already addressed it with Mr. Moore, then I could say this has been addressed, here's what.
And it very well could sometimes be addressed.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to run the attorney bill up here. I agree with that. That was just one of those things, I think it will solve itself, but it just need to be addressed. And if we have a concern, we should all be.
I agree, I just.
Yeah.
And I agree with, if we can solve it through the mayor, let's just do it the simplest way possible.
But she would be included in the.
Yeah, she'd be in the email also.
Because it's like, the way it's written there is like council. It's not including her.
Right.
And sometimes, not to, but sometimes we can go with simple things to MTask, and not, because we weighted him down quite a bit with some stuff recently, so, and we can run it by MTask, and maybe there's an easy answer too. So if you don't mind clearing it, not clearing, but just addressing it, then we can say either we have talked about it, here's what was discussed, or let's ask the MTask attorneys to weigh in on this, and then we'll get to Mr. Moore if it needs more weighing in on it, if that.
Yeah,
Would that work for you?
That works.
If we-
Oh, sure, yeah, I'll do it however y'all want to do it. I've always tried to respond if I
Sure.
felt it was appropriate, and if I felt it needed council action to move forward or the review, but it's completely y'all's call as to how to handle, so.
Okay. Do we want to formalize that in the motion, or do we?
I think we're good.
Okay, so we're just, that's sort of understood. Okay, great.
Right, and so then the only other thing is I may just shoot a short email to everybody and just say, there's no expectation of confidentiality with respect to any of y'all and what you communicate with me, because everybody knows it's going to be
Right.
disseminated to the entire council.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item.
Should be the last.
Tornado
Yeah,
siren.
yeah, that's the last one. Okay, tornado siren. Do I hear a motion to that? Yes, sir.
I want to make a motion that we research the price and a grant for adding tornado sirens to the city of Carthage. The city of Smithville just received a state grant that's going to pay for the entire warning system for the whole city. So there's grants out there for
Do you
this.
know maybe who that was through, so we can
I mean, I've got the information on who the grant was through.
Okay, so it was Smithville.
Through the state grant funds.
Okay,
I
I'm
just-
sorry. So the motion is to research and
Filing for a grant to add
research the
tornado
price of
sirens to
grants.
the city.
Second. No,
The price and possible grants for siren system. Okay, a second to that?
I do.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Do you know what the price was on that?
Mhm. It was $135,000.
Oh, okay.
Would that
It's a
be
one- it's a
co-
one-time grant with no local match.
Was that a COVID grant or something?
I just got this.
Oh, okay.
Smithville City or DeKalb? What did that cover?
The city.
Just the city, okay.
Yeah, you won't see a county put up, I mean, that'd be
Be in the spot.
Yeah.
363 square miles.
Could we put it in that research, the feasibility also, just put the whole package together, feasibility of how it would be set up, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'd say once we find out if we qualify for a grant, we find a company that installs those, they'd be able to tell us the best way to put it down, because I don't know where to put a tornado siren.
I think it's very important that we have something like that because like the other night during the storm, my TV went out. If I hadn't had the phone, I would not.
And some
It could've
people don't
went
have
out
cell
with it.
phones and such like that.
You
Or
didn't
cell
either,
phone
so.
service.
Yes, I mean, if the
I was
cell phone
lost.
tower
I
goes
mean, I had
down.
no clue that the tornado was
Yeah.
supposedly over top of us. Didn't know that.
Well, we can research and bring that back, so,
Okay.
okay, all right.
Okay.
So,
The swimming pool thing.
The pool was moved to.
Did we,
oh, that's
We
right.
did the extra
we didn't
vote.
vote, we never voted on that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we will do the research then, okay. Swimming pool.
The swimming pool.
Extending the hours, different things we're
Yeah.
gonna do, the money to generate more income for the pool.
Okay,
I mean, really, I think she, Ms. Woodard,
She needs to be here because she knows
needs
what
to
the
be
functions
here.
are and everything
But
else.
it's something, the reason why I brought it up, that, you know, of course, it's 1st of April, and they'll open next month.
Yeah,
So we
so
need
we-
to have some sort of
hopefully,
plan.
if it's finished.
Hopefully, it's going to be
Now,
finished.
let me
Yeah.
just, the caveat, they're on schedule unless some of these filtration systems and things they've ordered from who knows where are stuck in the Suez
Yeah,
Canal
but
and can't get here. You know
What
I
I'm
mean?
saying
So-
is, that, you know, part of the public support on this, and as I've
Sure.
been reading, that they're excited about it,
Yes.
like extending the hours and
Yeah.
a group plan or
Yeah,
whatever, that sort of
Sure,
thing.
yeah.
Even into the fall, when
Okay.
it's normally shut down. My question to Ms. Woodard would be probably like, you know, when school starts back, the lifeguards go back to school, how can we supplement the lifeguards or get other lifeguards?
Okay,
That may be from tech or, you know, somebody outside that's not involved with our school system. And I also brought up the fact that, you know, we could use the pool for other things like classes, through tech or whatever, swimming classes. There's all sorts of things out there that, and to be creative out of the box, things that we could use the pool for.
Could I-
And that, I think that's got the public excited about it
Yeah.
in the swimming season, the pool season.
could I suggest y'all, we make a list of possibilities there? Yes, sir.
What I would like to do is, okay with Councilman Reese, I'd like to make a motion to add this to the agenda on May 6th and invite Ms. Woodard back to discuss this
Okay.
situation. And we can bring our ideas and suggestions to our May 6th and we can
Okay.
interview.
That way she can kind of have
She
something
can come and she
prepared.
knows what's going on.
Sounds very good. We've got a
I'll
motion,
second that.
motion and seconded to invite her, Ms. Woodard, back May
Yes.
6th.
And that
Bring
way
our
she
ideas.
could, discussion,
Yes.
yeah, so she could have something
Yeah,
planned.
If we say, like, we want to keep it on the 9 o'clock shift, well, I can't keep it 9 o'clock because of this reason.
Mhm.
So that way we're not trying to give up her ideas. But I think it should be very accommodating however we want to do it, so.
Okay, so we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We have no further items. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Yes,
to
sir.
adjourn.
Second. All
All
in
in
favor?
favor?
Thank you very good. Appreciate it.
Who seconded?
Any of us?